Jalen Love, undefeated middleweight prospect here. Could do a little different style interview. You know, I interviewed you so many times, so many gym videos.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your history in boxing. How did this sport come to you? Take me back those years.
Let me see. I grew up in Detroit or Inkster, Michigan, and boxing has always been something I wanted to do. You know, I just had my mom wouldn't let me do it at a certain age. So when I was able to run around and really pursue it myself, that's what I did. So I was fighting on the street all the time. You know what I mean? And it just came natural for me to fight. You know, shut up, Jay, I'm fighting you. You know what I mean? A common joke would end in a fight or something. So it was just real simple. I just loved to fight, I guess. I just had that one-on-one type of aggression and really wanted to do it. So that's how I picked up. I actually saw Marvin Hagler on TV fighting in the Army and the Navy in an amateur fight on TV. So that's why I wanted to do it. And
Nice.
that's history.
How was the Detroit area? Like, was it rough? And how did it kind of help mold you, as a youth?
You know what? Detroit was... growing up, you don't know how bad it is. Just you being a kid growing up until you start getting into the shit that, actually get you killed or get you put in jail. So, I mean, as far as the streets, terrible. You know what I mean? You won't survive them. I don't care where you from. You can hustle on the street. You can grind on the street all day and night. But, eventually you'll get your calling for what you got coming. So, boxing is what kept me off the street and took me on the right path to where I am now.
How about when you first walked into the gym? What was that day like? What was it like?
Yeah, I actually went down to Kronk Gym. It's almost a punishment for fighting. And my uncle and my dad was like, you know what? I'm gonna take you down to this gym, and since you want to fight, we're going to take you around some real fighters. And it was kind of like they wanted to scare me and, so I can act right. And I went down and I sparred and it wasn't too bad. I had got in with a guy that had a couple amateur fights and I held my own and did what I had to do. And I actually loved it and I wanted to go back. You know what I mean? So it went from a punishment to like a thing that I really wanted to do.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
And that was a Kronk Gym?
That was a Kronk Gym.
What was your best memory? That's the famed Kronk Gym.
Yeah.
What's your best memories from there? What's it like?
Man, I mean, you had so many great fighters, elite fighters. You know what I mean? Cornelius Bundrich, a former IBF champion. You even had Jermaine Taylor that would come down for training camp, getting ready for Winky Wright. The Klitschko brothers, I had came across them and joined camps with them a couple of times. I mean, obviously you got the vets, Tommy Hearns that'll come step down and watch us, and him and McKenty, and, all those guys, Caveman Lee, those great fighters, the guys that, made the name, those Detroit fighters that everybody knew of. Those were the memories of me running around the gym, sweating, boxing, jump roping, and all these guys over here trying to show me the right ways to do things. So, it was definitely a blessing in itself that I even had those memories of those great guys.
What about just the best memories of being an amateur, and when did you know it was time to go pro?
You know what, man? I've been all over the world, traveled with the, Team USA, and I just was tired of the amateurs. You know what I mean? I had won a lot of things, and I wanted to take that next step. Everybody was talking about it after the Olympics was next. People wanted to stick around, and me, I didn't have no second thought about it. I wanted to turn professional. That was what I wanted to do, and so I told Emmanuel Stewart, I don't want to do this no more, and I don't want to fight for free again. You know what I mean? And we was just. He was like, okay, I understand. And, we tried to seek out different promoters and things like that. It didn't work. But, the grace of God, my phone started ringing and voila.
What was the early days like being a pro, kind of bounce around different states, fighting, building up that undefeated record? What was that like?
I mean, it was kind of crazy because you never know where you're going to end up. You know what I mean? I never thought I would be with Mayweather Promotions and, you know, the great Al Heyman, you know what I mean, things like that. So fighting on TV, you know, I was just fighting to get some money in my pocket, fighting because I wanted to fight, and, you know, it was cool, you know. That's what everybody else was doing, so I was doing it. I enjoyed it. I loved it very much, but honestly, it wasn't really until, you know, people told me, yo, you got talent. You can really make something of yourself out of this, and you doing your thing, where I really looked where I can go. And so I really, you know, took it as far as being a thing that I was just doing to something that I threw a goal out there to become a world champion. You know what I mean? I've seen world champions, you know, WBC belts and those great fights, and I want to be in those fights.
What was, you know, up until that point, you know, like what was some of the best sparring you got, or notable names that people would recognize who you've been in the ring with, who kind of helped you out, or helped mold you as a fighter?
Right. You know what, man? Like I said, you know, coming from Kronk Gym, I was sparring professionals as a kid. So you know, you had Marlon Thomas, you know, Leonardo Tyner, so many more. You had like Jermaine Taylor, you know, Antonio Margarito.
Yeah, how did that camp? You traveled to Mexico for that one. How was that camp?
Oh man, that camp was tremendous. You know, I got to meet Brandon Rios, and you know, we kind of built a cool relationship over the time. You know what I'm saying? When I first went to that camp, I didn't know what to expect. You know, shout out to Ernest Gavin, you know what I mean, from Everlast. He kind of set the whole thing up. You know, he said, you know what, he kind of hit me with a message. Like, hey, man, I got a guy that needs some work, Jay. And I know you'll be a good fit for him. Would you like to go? And I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah, before I even knew who it was. And he said, okay, it's Tony Margarito. That's what he hit me with. And I was like, man, I ain't never heard of no Tony Margarito.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, Antonio Margarito. I'm like, oh, Margarito.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to go. I needed some money anyway, you know what I mean? A new camp that, you know, it let me know what I'd be paid and things like that. And it was going to Mexico. You know, a lot of people was kind of like skeptical about going over there and things like that. But hey, I was right down for it. So that's how it happened. And I went. And, you know, from there, man, I built a good relationship with all those guys. Brandon Rios, Pedos, you know, a couple other guys, Juanito Gonzalez, you know, all those guys, Robert Garcia, you know, Jesus Soto Carras. It was so many I can name. And every guy treated you with so much respect, man. Jokesters, fucking clowns all day, every day, you know what I mean? So, but it was, you know, it was cool to meet those guys because those are the guys that I was watching on TV and things like that.
When did you know it was time to move to Las Vegas, and how did that come about?
You know what? Right afterwards, I actually moved. I went back to Detroit and packed my stuff up, and I actually told my girlfriend during the time, yo, look up apartments in Las Vegas, and we're moving. You know what I mean? I want to move there. I got some money saved up. Let's go. So, you know, we found this apartment, and it looked beautiful from the computer, you know, from the pictures and stuff like that. So I didn't have any credit or nothing really in my name but a cell phone. And she didn't have really much credit established herself, so I knew this guy that did check stubs. And so he rented out some check stubs and whatever else I needed to show, you know, this apartment complex or this apartment company, you know, I was eligible for this apartment. And what do you know, man? I was more than eligible. You know what I mean? I didn't have to put a down payment, none of the things that you normally would have to do. And then when we actually got to Las Vegas, we rented a car, and I saw this apartment, man, and it wasn't even like an apartment, it was beautiful. Like, I wasn't expecting this, you know what I mean? So, you know, for some reason I was here, and, you know, I was just working my way around, and that's how I got to Vegas.
People know you from your Mayweather promotions. You're in the doghouse all the time, Mayweather gym, putting in work. I mean, how did it come about where you became part of that family, that TMT family?
You know, Boza, I was actually training at the Hit Factory, and Boza Edwards had called for some sparring for Floyd to prepare him for Miguel Cotto. And, you know, tons of guys was getting the call. You know, me, Luis Aries, you know, rest in peace, Omar Henry, Basti Samir, a couple other guys, you know what I mean? So they had called, and I had let Boza Edwards know I was kind of big, you know. I didn't know how big Floyd actually was, you know what I mean? So I let him know, like, I'm much bigger than what you think. And, you know, I had been in the gym already, sparring and running and stuff. As I would be getting ready for a normal fight. And I went over to his gym and, you know, had an opportunity. Actually, it took pretty much all week for me to even share the ring with him. He was sparring with so many other different guys. You know what I mean? It came Friday, payday, where they came around and gave you a check. And I was like, damn, well, you know, I got a check for nothing, you know? I didn't even spar. And that day, I actually sparred. And, man, we worked. You know, we stood in the middle of the ring, and it was a chess match. Him, you know, going back and forth. But obviously, he had the experience. You know, he ended up getting the better of it later. But it was great work for him. And he told me, yo, where you from, kid? I'm like, yo, I'm from Detroit, you know? He's like, oh, okay. And, you know, the rest was pretty much history. You know, we continued to work. He liked the work. It got better and better every time. And eventually he was like, yo, I want to sign you.
And what, to where we are now, you know, you're part of the Mayweather Promotions, undefeated, fighting the Lajuan Simon this weekend.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts just on your future in this fight?
You know what, man? I don't look past nobody, but I can't let this man stop me from what I'm doing. You know, I'm hungry. I've been putting in crazy work in the gym. You know, great sparring with the team. Luis Aries, Chris Pearson, Badu Jack, half the guys on this card here. You know what I mean? Andrew Tabiti. And I had a great cramp all the way around as far as my coaches and strength and conditioning people, you know, I have working with me. So, I mean, I'm going to go out and dominate this man every round, every second of it. I'm in crazy shape, you know, weight good. I'm on the money. I'm just ready to rock and roll, man. You know, it's been a long time. I've been out for 6 months. And I know he's been inactive for like 2 years. So, I mean, that's no advantage for him. You know what I mean? I'm young. I don't need a tune-up fight. Give me the best guys out there. So they got me Lajuan Simon, a veteran, a guy that's been in there with quite a few good fighters. And, you know, I'm just looking to dominate and show my skill.
Thanks.